Hello, I'm Gilad Berenstein, coming to you from beautiful Seattle, Washington. I could not be any more excited for our fourth annual Virtuoso Travel Technology Summit that is just a few weeks away. And thank you for joining me for the latest iteration of my annual Themes and Trends in Travel Technology keynote. I'm so glad you're here. Before I jump into my keynote, I wanted to share all that is new in this year's Travel Technology Summit. As you know, one of the key things that has made our summit such a success is that we've innovated and changed the format and the structure each year. And this year, we're bringing two new innovations to our summit. First is what we call the Innovator Spotlight, which are TED Talk-like conversations highlighting the innovation work done by members of our own Virtuoso network, by advisors, by agency owners, by partners, and by our tech ecosystem in order to bring innovation and technology to our industry. And second, we got rid of the breakout sessions where most people listened and a few people spoke in favor of a much more engaging roundtable discussion format, where each of you will get to sit at two tables with our innovators and thought leaders from around the world to discuss these topics in more depth and have a really meaningful exchange of ideas around these conversations. I cannot wait to all be in person in Las Vegas in just a few weeks. Okay, without further ado, let's do it. Themes and trends in travel technology. For the last few years, I've started with this slide to remind us all that we as an industry have not always been laggards and late adopters of technology. For much of our history, we are actually early adopters and innovators, whether it's the GDSs that were born almost 50 years ago, or the OTAs, or many other technology revolutions where our industry was was on the forefront and one of the early adopters. And the reason I'm so excited for this time in our industry is that artificial intelligence and what I call the great commoditization of AI is giving us the opportunity to leapfrog other industries and to deploy AI employees, AI generated code, and so many other capabilities that will allow us to again claim our position as innovators within other industries when it comes to technology and innovation. We all know there's a lot going on in the world of travel technology. And I find that one great way to examine what's happening in the ecosystem is by looking at the capital markets and the venture capital ecosystems. And this year's had some mixed results. What we're comparing here on the screen are the deals in the year of summer of 23 to summer of 24 compared to summer of 24 to summer of 25. And what you can see is that we've had a roughly 35% decrease in the number of companies getting funding rounds during that period, but only a 3% decrease in the number of dollars deployed within those funding rounds. To me, I see a maturing technology ecosystem. Fewer rounds, but each of those rounds is getting a bigger number of dollars, a bigger share of the funding pie. As you can see, of course, we're down 35% on deals, but only 3% on dollars, meaning each deal is larger. To me, this means that we are seeing a maturation of our startups that began in the soon after COVID era, and of course, in the great commoditization of AI, and hopefully leading to a technology that is more mature that will be deployed in our ecosystem over the coming years. Looking at additional funding data coming from Skift, we can see that the travel tech ecosystem continues to become more global. And as you probably know, in the past, it was largely centered in the United States and a little bit in Europe. And as you can see here, travel tech funding and innovation has really become a global phenomenon, which is wonderful because, of course, our industry operates globally across the world. The other piece of data we have from Skift here is showing us some of the largest funding rounds that have been closed in our industry over the past year. And as you can see here, there are many deals, many companies that have raised over $100 million, $200 million, and even several raising over $300 million, showing that investors have a large appetite for opportunities within our ecosystem and showing us that there's going to be much more technology coming down the pike over the coming years. And of course, I'm very excited to share with all of you that my friend Rafat Ali, the publisher of Skift, will be joining us on center stage during our tech summit this summer in Las Vegas. And lastly, when talking about funding, we cannot ignore the AI funding wars happening in front of our very eyes. You've probably all seen this summer as Meta, Google, OpenAI, and others have been battling over the top AI talent and putting out job offers with paychecks in the $100 million range plus, showing us how much opportunity everyone in our economy believes will come from this great commoditization of AI and super intelligence, which is what Facebook and those guys are all working on, and the fact that we should all be incredibly excited for the technologies coming down the pike. Another way to assess the state of the travel technology ecosystem is by examining the areas in which we are deploying and developing technology. The WTTC recently published their list of technology trends to watch in the world of travel and tourism. And of course, artificial intelligence was at the top of the list. Zooming in a little bit, we can see that we have focused on many of the same topics and themes from the TTC report during our tech summit over the past years, focusing on artificial intelligence, super apps, and immersive technologies. We were early adopters in speaking about the buy now, pay later and other financial revolutions, including open banking and digital wallets. We have looked deeply at sustainability tech, as well as the future of aviation, and of course, quantum computing. And needless to say, Virtuoso was an early adopter of space tourism, and I've always been a believer in the power of nuclear energy. So there's a lot for us to love from the TTC reports. Zooming in a little bit closer to our own themes, these are the themes I presented last year in my 2024 Key Themes and Trends in Travel Technology keynote. And after thinking about this throughout the summer, I realized that these themes are still the key themes driving technology and innovation in our ecosystem. And because of that, I wanted to focus more deeply on these themes this year and to really see what is new and what is happening in these ecosystems. And within these key themes, there's a lot of new things coming this year. Starting with smart, more connected systems, we will, of course, focus again on the connected trip, which is what I refer to as the holy grail of customer experience. And this year, we're going to see a lot of new things happening within this arena, coming from new distribution capabilities and, of course, agentic AI. In the middle, we have new monetization models, and we've spent a lot of time talking about these over the past few years, and we'll continue to focus on these again because this is not slowing down. But this year, the new entrants to this conversation are stablecoins and a renewed focus on payment capabilities. And of course, the great commoditization of AI is fully here. And we're going to see robotics and agentic AI play center stage within this theme over the coming few years. And because this year I'm going to focus almost exclusively on all that is new and things that I believe are upcoming over the coming years, I wanted to put this QR code here to let you go back and view my speech from last year. Because at the end of the day, the history and the basic building blocks of these key themes and trends are critical to you being able to understand the future. So if you haven't had a chance to review it before or just want a refresher, please pause here and go take a look at that. And let's continue from here to talk about all that is new and all that is coming down the line. Okay, so let's begin with new monetization models. And as you know, there's a lot happening in this trend. We began by focusing on monetization of one's brand through travel back in 2018, before the tech summit was even established. And that's also the time when I began speaking about the financialization of travel, Hopper and other solutions taking fintech thinking and bringing them into our industry. In 2021, we spoke about dynamic packages and dynamic pricing at the summit. And in 2023, I began speaking a lot more about the horizontalization of luxury, and I'll focus a lot more on that today as well. The newest entrant into this ecosystem is the future of payments and stablecoins, which are new additions to our conversation, but something a lot of us will want to pay attention to because it leads to both a better consumer experience as well as reduced fees and thus increased margins for those of us who sell travel products. And it's been quite exciting to see this macro theme mature over the years. We began by speaking in depth about creators and other influencers who began to monetize their audience through travel, switching their profession from being content creators to tour operators to travel advisors and to DMCs. We have seen many companies turning hotel rooms and trips into shoppable opportunities and creating new revenue opportunities by letting you buy and take home the things you love and that you interacted with throughout your trip. And of course, during our first two travel technology summits, we heard directly from one of the leaders in the financialization of travel, Hopper. And this trend has only continued to accelerate because, as we spoke about before, fintech and travel, it creates a win-win-win outcome where travelers get to book more travel further out with increased confidence, while travel sellers get to increase their margin and their profitability. And we've seen many more players enter the financialization of travel space. We've seen Google Flights guarantee that the price will not go down, or they'll actually cover the difference. We've seen surge pricing and dynamic pricing coming to restaurants and hotels all around us. And we've seen an endless number of travel companies launching credit cards and other financial offerings to increase engagement, data collection, and of course, margin. We also heard about the rise of travel clubs and travel subscriptions. And there's a lot more coming on this front as well. I think this is really important. So again, I encourage you to go back if you don't know much about the rising tide of travel subscriptions. And over the last 2 years, we've focused more closely on the latest iteration of this theme that I call the Travelization of Finance. And we spoke about American Express and Chase. And over the last couple of years, we've heard more from our friends at Built Rewards, and we'll hear more from them again this year. But the whole idea here is the fact that because travel is the most aspirational and beloved category in the economy, we have seen banks and financial institutions continue to put travel at the core of their offerings. And again, I do not think we're going to see this trend slow down. And as I mentioned, the reason we see this continuing so rapidly is the win-win outcome that it creates, which is something all of us are seeking. Better trips and more certainty for travelers, higher margin for those of us selling travel products, and hopefully fewer fees and more efficiency for the ecosystem as a whole. This is why financialization of travel and the travelization of finance will continue to be important trends for us to watch over the coming years. And the newest element of this is stablecoin and a renewed focus on payments and payment efficiency, on fee reduction, and on reduction of time between when a payment is made and when all the recipients receive their payments. This is something we'll talk about more in the summit, and you'll see a lot more of this over the coming years. Before we move on, I want to spend just a minute talking about the horizontalization of travel and luxury. As I look back at the past 8 years and the maturation of this thesis, with the benefit of hindsight, of course, it is easy to see that what I call the monetization of one's brand through travel that we spoke about a second ago was really a precursor to the theory that I dubbed the travelization of finance, which kicked the doors wide open for this penultimate version of this thesis, which I call the horizontalization of travel, lifestyle, and luxury. I've written a lot about this, but with another year of learning and data in the books, I think this theme is even more important than I did a year ago, especially to those of us focusing on customers in the luxury, high net worth, and ultra high net worth categories. In our modern world of social media, ubiquitous photos, and humble brags, so much of luxury is about a feeling and a story. It's not primarily about high-end leather or plush mattresses, but about the feelings your brand, such as a hotel, give me, and the stories I tell myself and the stories other people tell about me when I'm basking in the glow of your brand. Remember, it used to be that high-end watches kept better time than cheap watches, and that Louis Vuitton luggage maintained its utility longer than other bags. But today, in our modern economy, no one is buying a Patek Philippe watch because they want to have a better, more precise time check. Consumers purchase these products for the stories and feelings they enable, which are, of course, zero marginal cost goods. Combining the power of digital technology, and now, of course, artificial intelligence, to spread stories and feelings faster than ever before, we find ourselves in an economy where luxury brands can take the same brand story and extend it in all directions, not just into other luxury categories, but into all different aspects of our economy, growing their reach, their impact, and their revenue opportunities dramatically. It looks like luxury watch brands like Jacob & Co. or Frank Mueller adding living to their mix of products by building luxury residences. It looks like trendy clubs like Equinox and others building hotels, selling clothing, and publishing books. And by doing so, they increase their reach and their ability to engage and monetize a wider audience that they can fit into their physical clubs. It looks like Amon starting a chain of ultra exclusive members clubs to engage their audience at home, not just when they travel, and capturing an aspirational customer by selling them at-home spa products, since those customers cannot afford the feeling of staying at an Amon hotel, but they can bask in the glow and engage with the brand by using face creams at home, growing the Amon brand and its revenue base without cannibalizing its core offerings. It looks like Paris, where the top fashion brands are all opening hotels, restaurants, spas, and entering our business for real, and so much more. As luxury brands continue learning about the horizontalization, they see the opportunity to grab both greater share of wallet from existing customers while at the same time discovering the ability to monetize a huge new segment of their customers that cannot afford to stay at their hotels or to shop their core offerings. Brands are saying, if you love wearing our brand, what about living in it? If you love traveling with our brand, how about socializing in it? If you like relaxing with our brand, how about decorating your home with it? If you like visiting our brand, what about a soundtrack to hear as you go on a walk and to bring our brand into your life? If you love the image of our brand, what about buying facial products and lotion that enable skincare within our brand? And as I promise you, this trend is not weakening. And as you will see this year, big tech is getting involved and into the action as well. ESPN is launching a tour operator. Instacart is rumored to be creating a hotel and restaurant booking engine. PayPal and Perplexity now offer travel recommendations and sell travel offerings. The large auction houses are now planning trips for you, and there's no slowdown on the horizon. As you can hopefully see in these examples, the horizontalization of luxury is a megatrend that is piggybacking off the learnings of aggregation theory and the fact that feelings and stories are highly desirable offerings and can be duplicated and distributed for nearly free on the web. That, plus the expansion of luxury, coupled with the lifestyleification of our economy, is leading to this massive new force that I call the horizontalization of travel and luxury. And needless to say, if high net worth customers are a core part of your target market, you cannot afford to stop paying attention to this theme. All right, let's continue. Next to the rise of the travel OS and the connected operating system. This is a macro theme that we have seen mature in front of our very eyes over the past 5 years. This is incredibly exciting for all of us, as these smart connected systems will help all of us leapfrog our technology shortcomings and prepare for the personalization expectation of our customers and the agentic era of AI, which is coming. Many of you may remember this slide from last year. This is just a partial view of the hotel tech ecosystem and a perfect example for why we need the connected trip and the connected travel ecosystem. It is impossible to innovate within this world we're looking at right here. Another reason we all need to adopt smart connected systems right now is because the data challenge is growing exponentially and more data is being created each year than in all the past years combined. And ultimately, we are building towards the holy grail, what I call the connected trip ecosystem. The connected trip is a concept focused on a future state of our industry where all elements of a trip are connected or smart, enabling data, preferences, and other information to be captured, stored, and shared so that an entire travel experience is optimized to its most personalized state. Remember, the connected trip is about travelers above transactions. It's private but accessible. It enables both read and write specificity with data ownership being retained. As this trend continues to mature, I hope we get closer to the promise of the connected trip, which is better, more personalized trips for travelers and a more efficient and connected ecosystem for the rest of us. Okay, moving on to the key theme we're all paying attention to, which is artificial intelligence and the coming agentic era. And as I said a moment ago, the agentic era is really going to benefit from the connected trip and the connected systems we've spent so long deploying over the past 5 or 6 years. Now, as I shared with many of you back in 2017, the great commoditization of AI was coming. And at this point, I don't think anyone can dispute that it's already arrived. AI is being integrated into every element of our world, lives, work, and economy. I have said and written a lot about the great commoditization, and I encourage you to go back to my keynotes from 23 and 2024 to get a much deeper view into the history and the key elements of the great commoditization. But today, I want to look ahead and to focus specifically on agentic AI, plus a few new lessons and mental models I have developed for business leaders during this AI era. First, to get us all on the same page, there are three categories of AI we need to remember and to think about distinctly. Those are artificial intelligence, which includes Gen AI, computer vision, and many other capabilities. And you can think of these as tools for peoples and businesses. It's that simple. Next, we have AGI, or artificial general intelligence, which represents a near future of artificial intelligence, one where we have many AI bots or agents with capabilities at similar levels to those of average educated human adults. This is our main focus today. And of course, we have ASI, or artificial superintelligence, which represents a future state of AI. We are not that close yet, even though, as we spoke about earlier, many companies are spending billions of dollars to try to get there, where the AI bots are more capable at nearly everything than the best educated, smartest humans in those fields. This is what Zuckerberg is working on and is an exciting future for all of us, but like I said, is not that close. Now think about these three categories like this. AI is here today, and it brings with it a set of tools and capabilities to help us achieve our goals. You should be testing these tools and adopting the best tools to further your business objectives. AGI is near. AI agents or agentic AI are already showing up and helping us achieve mass efficiency and increase productivity throughout our economy, while bringing additional knowledge and skill sets into our organizations. We're just getting started, but this is a very short-term thing that we're all going to be living through in the coming years. And ASI, artificial superintelligence, will be really helpful, but it's far enough away that in a business context, we can probably disregard it for now. From definitions to a timeline, I think we can officially say that we are now nearly past the hype stage of the great commoditization of AI and into the real value creation stage of this chapter of technology evolution. So let's look at a brief commercial history of AI. I have to refer to the 2008 to 2022 era as the super early adopter and hard worker era of AI, because companies like Utrip and others had to build AI in-house from scratch every single time, which was slow and often very painful. Fast forward to 2023, after the launch of the great commoditization, which is what I call the play and ship era, or the play and ship just to show people that you did something with Gen AI era of the great commoditization. And we saw lots of good tests and use cases and toys coming out of that era, but few of those survived, which is why I call the 2024 era the getting back to business phase of the great commoditization. This past year, you probably noticed the sugar high wearing off and many companies and CEOs sobering up, putting down the shiny object and getting back to business. The same basic business needs that they focused on for years, the same goals, objectives, opportunities, and challenges CEOs and boards have cared about since the beginning of time. And because we have done all that work, we have focused on the business goals and objectives, I think of the next 2 years as the mass adoption era of AI. This in this mass adoption era of AI, things are no longer happening just because it's novel or cool, but because there's real business incentives to do so. For example, we have data that shows that nearly 80% of travelers want to use artificial intelligence in their trip planning journey. And before some of us delude ourselves into believing that somehow these trends don't apply to us in the luxury world dealing with high net worth clients, let me correct that mistake. Our friends at LVMH and many other fashion houses around the world have been doubling down on their investments in artificial intelligence, and so should you. A few key learnings. Over the past few months, I have run an AI dialogue experience at many Virtuoso and other events around the world, and I wanted to share just a couple of those key learnings with you. First and foremost, everyone wants more AI, and everyone's concerned about AI accuracy. This is a really important topic and something we'll focus a lot on during our summit. Advisors told us that, of course, accuracy and reliability was their top concern, along with their voice and making sure their personal brand was really carried through the AI. Members and agency owners talked a lot about the connectivity between AI and their accounting systems, their preferred programs, and other things. And of course, talked a lot about knowledge sharing. And we'll hear about a few examples of AI external brains during the summit in just a few weeks. And our partners focus a lot on localization, on regionalization, on language, and on personalization, essentially focusing on making their content more easily utilized by their partners who are helping sell it. And essentially, this is what I'm so excited about, the opportunity for all of us to co-create, to take all these positive elements we've heard from across the network and to co-create the future of AI together, which is one of the many reasons I'm so excited for our deep dive roundtable discussion format that we'll have at the second half of our tech summit. Now, there's two competing visions for the future of agentic AI. One of them is the super assistant model, and the other is the AI swarm model. And at this point, it seems to me very likely that the AI swarm model will win out. So first, for a definition, what is a swarm? An AI swarm is a constellation of bots working together to accomplish one overarching task, bringing together multiple skill sets, knowledge bases, and accomplishments in order to be able to accomplish something very hard together. This is just like people. We all know that when we bring together groups of diverse people with diverse experiences, we get better outcomes. So will the AI swarm. Now, the reason Swarm will win, and the reason I think a Swarm architecture is actually beneficial to all of us in the travel and hospitality industry, is because a Swarm, as compared to the super agent model, has a much lower bar to getting started. Meaning we don't have to have all the answers or have the technology fully worked out to begin to get value from it. The Swarm's cheaper to build and faster to iterate and improve, another benefit for small and medium business. And most importantly, for those of us within the Virtuoso network, a swarm is inherently collaborative, allowing us to take the things we're best at and to partner with partners from across the Virtuoso network to put together a swarm with the best of the best from all of our partners, collaboratively putting together the best technology to lift our entire ecosystem and network together. I want to give you a quick example of what an AI swarm actually looks like. So what we have right here is an AI travel concierge swarm that could be deployed at a hotel or to assist a travel advisor or in many other use cases. Now, this swarm would probably benefit from an expert in me or an expert in the traveler bot, an agent that understands the traveler's desires, a destination research and analysis bot to research and learn about the destination and to make great recommendations, an accommodation search and booking bot that was trained on relevant industry data to identify the best options for that trip, a payment or smart wallet bot that has access to a secure credit card and bank accounts, a transportation focused bot that can search, book, and string together multiple transportation options for the most efficient route, working together with a third party weather prediction bot to reduce the probability of trip disruptions, an itinerary builder agent, which may actually be a small swarm of its own, including recommendation bots, logistics bots, personal scheduling bots, etc. And increasingly, we might benefit from a legal docs and cross-border bot that has studied all the visa and other legal requirements that seem to be changing so quickly. Now, this swarm may also benefit from utilization of a social media digest bot that can get recommendations from your clients, friends, or other people within your network, and partner with a sustainability analysis bot to help you with logistics and to reduce the environmental impact of a trip. Maybe this is an important business trip for your client and may also benefit from a cultural attaché bot to help your client impress their foreign hosts. And that could go on and on. The thing is, training one bot to do all of these would take years and decades and may not even be possible. But we all know within our network, we have many people capable of training one or two of these individually. And through collaboration, through the creation of a swarm, we can be the tide that lifts all boats. As I begin to wrap up, there's a few more things I want you to consider and to think about that are happening in the news right now that will help you understand the great commoditization of AI that we're all currently living through. First, we are seeing digital discovery and digital distribution changing in front of our very eyes. We all know that AI and agentic AI will be a big part of the future of e-commerce and digital distribution, both in direct to consumer and for advisors and travel suppliers alike. And there are many different ways that this AI could be developed and deployed. And I identified at least 5 of them here. First is through the AI giants. It could be that Perplexities, OpenAIs, and Googles of the world become the place where most of this technology is coming for distribution and e-commerce in the future. Another possibility is that the current industry incumbents, the Marriotts, the Sabres, the Expedias of the world, innovate and they continue to have dominant position in the future of distribution, even past the great commoditization of AI. Another possibility is that personal assistants and personal AIs on our phones or other devices take over and become our dominant track for e-commerce and for discovering products in the future. Of course, there's an entire ecosystem of innovative startups that are vying to be the leaders in the future. And the most important category is other. We will come up over the coming years with whole new capabilities for e-commerce, for marketing, for distribution, just like we did in the late 90s, just like we did with mobile computing in the early teens. This will be reinvented again. And there's a lot for us to pay attention to, especially since so many of us are in the world of marketing and distribution. And more broadly, the art and science of marketing in general is changing, and we all need to be paying close attention. And at our summit, we'll hear from a number of startups, including Bonafide and others, working on the future of SEO and distribution. Another key trend to watch is robotics, or as I say, robots are coming to a hotel near you and soon. As of today, most humanoid robots are just for hype and for storytelling, whereas small functional robots will be the winners of the first wave of the robotic distribution. Within your business, you should focus on multi-purpose robots, one that can do multiple things and can learn new skills over time. That's how you ensure you get the greatest return on investment on your deployment of robots. And why now? Why am I so bullish on robots right now versus a few years ago? Is the prices of robot manufacturing are plummeting, and the cost of deploying robots is going so low that soon any hotel or almost any restaurant will be able to deploy robots within their ecosystems. We see examples of robots deployed within hotels in China, delivering, vacuuming, and doing other things on property. Recently, the first restaurant in the world with a fully automated robot chef launched, of course, in Dubai. And in a few weeks at our summit, we'll hear from Bellboy Robotics, a robotics company building specifically for hospitality, with robots already deployed in Europe across a number of hotels. And we're seeing a lot of conversation about the hotel of the future, which is something we'll touch on briefly as well at our summit. Hotels in the future being places that offer true personalization and a modern sense of hospitality that's highly connected, that have customizable layout and different use case offerings within their physical space, that are connected and smart by design, and that are sustainable from the start. A lot of conversation around the hotel of the future is already beginning, and you'll hear a lot more of that over the coming year. Artificial intelligence has also arrived for sustainability, and there are so many ways to use technology and AI in our sustainability efforts. At Virtuoso's first Impact Summit a couple months ago, we saw so many examples of artificial intelligence and smart technology doing good in the world, and we will see a few more of these examples at our Tech Summit in just a few weeks. And we'll talk about all the many ways that we can deploy technology to further our collective goals and efforts of making the planet sustainable for peoples, for cultures, and of course, for the environment. Lastly, a few mental models for business leaders in this era of the great commoditization of AI. First, AI employees. AI employees are coming for your business and soon. You have to begin to think about how will your company change? How will your operations be altered when you can deploy AI employees to assist your team in all sorts of different ways? How will the job of each of your employees change when they have an entire team of assistants supercharging their productivity? And of course, for yourself as the business leader, how will your role change when you can deploy a team of AI assistants supporting you day in and day out? Another thing to think about is that technology and AI is both going to be your superpower and your greatest competitor. And thinking through both implications of AI is critical for future business success. And I want to stress that in the world of omnipresent technology, a focus on the human connection, something all of us at Virtuoso know incredibly well, will be the key differentiator for you between yourself and your competitors. In the world of omnipresent AI, the human connection will continue to be king. And lastly, access to great technology and custom technology is coming for a business like yours. For much of the past 20, 30 years, many of our companies have felt like we were at a systemic disadvantage because we could not create custom code and create high quality technology at scale in any sort of reasonable period of time. Well, that disadvantage has largely gone away. With AI generated code, your company, no matter how small, has the ability to deploy custom technology in real time for anything. And any one of your employees can do that. Now, think about Microsoft already. Company building incredibly complicated and sophisticated code is already deploying AI for over 30% of their development efforts. And this is something that your company should experiment with as well. Satya Nadella tells us that the hardest part of adopting AI isn't the tech itself, it's getting people to change how they work, and I agree. And this is why we are hosting a change management panel at our summit this year, where we'll hear from experts from across the Virtuoso network about key lessons they have learned on how to deploy technology and to help their teams adopt technology for the benefit of all of us. Now, to help on this front, I created this mental model based on my conversations with frontline advisors and employees over the last few months during my AI dialogues. And it's a pretty simple business model that goes like this. We all have things we like about our jobs and things we dislike about our jobs. We all have things we're good at and things we're less good at. So when we think about deploying AI within an employee's ecosystem, I would always say start at the bottom left. Start by helping them deploy AI within the areas of things that they dislike to do and they're also not very good at. There's a really easy way to show them the value and the upside of utilizing AI. And for now, I would, of course, ignore the top right quadrant, the things you're both good at and you love to do. Keep that as is. And think about how you can deploy AI in the bottom parts of this chart in order to bring yourself efficiency and to make your job more enjoyable. It's by doing that that you will find many more ways to deploy AI across the rest of your role. Thank you for joining me. These topics are incredibly important, and I can't wait to discuss them further in person in just a few weeks. And remember, your job is to never stop testing, learning, iterating, and collaborating. That's how we win in the future. Because remember, the winners of the next historical epoch will not be the first companies to utilize AI, but will be the ones committed to a decade of learning, testing, and iterating. Thank you so much for joining me. Here again is our agenda for the summit. There is so much innovation and so much wisdom to be shared. I can't wait to have you with us in person, and we'll see you there. Thank you so much.